Well, the 30-minute or so call was professional and fairly candid. That's according to a State Department official who briefed reporters. That State Department official saying that there were no breakthroughs, no signs of de-escalations from the Russians. And they added that the U.S. continues to hear assurances that Russia is not planning to invade. But every action we see says otherwise. And they said that the message that Tony Blinken delivered to Sergei Lavrov is that if you don't intend to wage war against Ukraine, if you don't intend to invade, then show us something by taking down or bringing out those troops and sending them back to their barracks. That was basically the same message that the Americans have had for weeks now. On the other hand, they also confirmed that there was some sort of clarification from the Russian foreign minister as to that seeming response from the Russians to the Americans that was not really a response. Sergei Lavrov said that it was indeed a response from the Russians to the Americans, but not the full formal response. He said that that was still being worked out and that then it would have to be sent to the Russian President Vladimir Putin for approval before officially being sent over to the Americans. One thing that the two men did agree on, and probably the only thing they agreed on, was that once that formal response is sent over to the Americans, then they will speak again and decide on the next steps in diplomacy, the next steps forward to see what they can do after that.
Kethevane, Russia has accused the West of hysterics over Ukraine, and in recent days, Ukraine's president says he knows his country better than the West, better than the United States, for instance. How is Washington reacting to all of this?
Well, they said that they heard the comments from the Ukrainians, and they believe and they try to at least play down any disagreements between them and the Ukrainians, basically not backing down on their assessment that this is indeed very critical, that there is a lot of concern, and that a possible invasion is imminent. They're not saying that it will definitely happen because they still insist that they believe, at least according to their intelligence, that Vladimir Putin has not made a decision, but they said that it could still happen at any point in the coming days, in the coming weeks. And so despite the comments and the seeming criticism from the Ukrainian president directly, the Americans are not backing down. They still see this as a major Russian threat. Last week, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, he compared the buildup of what we're seeing from the Russians on the border with Ukraine to things that he hadn't seen since like the height of the Cold War. He said that it was something in scale and scope that is larger than anything we've seen in recent memory. So whether they're building up the threat of the Russians or they have actual evidence, it is clear that the Ukrainians on the other side have an incentive to sort of play down the threat because they don't want to spark panic. And that is something that the Americans understand, that they acknowledge. They say they don't want to create panic. They don't want to create more problems for the Ukrainians, but they also want to make it very clear that the threat from the Russians is real.